welcome to another episode of Fun Science with Alex. Now today I thought we would talk about forces, a few cool things you can do with forces and how you can balance them and things like that. And these things look really cool and look a little bit like magic. Now to do the first thing, you're going to need a glass, you're going to need a toothpick, and you're going to need some forks. Now what you're going to do, you're going to take the two forks and you are going to put them together like this. So that the tines, you're going to just basically push them together so that the tines interlink like this and that they do not come apart. You're going to get them as tightly together as you possibly can, and then you're going to get a toothpick or toothpick if you're so inclined, and you're going to wedge that in the middle of them. So it's all wedged in there. Oops, tight, this is falling apart. One moment. Right, let's go again. Worked when I tried it earlier. There. And a toothpick in the middle of them. Just there. Like that. So it's all wedged together. Then you're going to take your glass. You're going to take the toothpick. You're going to take the forks. And what you're going to do, you're going to try and find the sweet spot where the forks and the toothpick all balance like that. Now the reason this works is because basically of forces. The weight of the two forks at the end here are pushing downwards, and they're pushing down on this toothpick, which is being pushed up on with the glass, and they're all balancing out very nicely, as you can see. So the forks don't bend. Now I've not tried this, so it might not work, but I'm aware that what you can do now that you found that sweet spot is if you get a parent to set fire to the toothpick like this, it should burn down to that bit of the toothpick where it meets the glass, stop, and then you'll have two forks balanced right on the edge of a toothpick. So it should stop when it hits that glass. There. Perfect. And then if you take this and just tap the ash off, two forks balanced on the edge of a toothpick, which I think looks something like magic, but is in fact just science, which I think is fantastically cool. There are loads of opposing forces on there, they all balance out, and that is the result of that. And that is one cool thing that you can do with forces. Another similar thing, I'm going to show you what you can do. Three things, or well, a few things. You're going to need some elastic bands. I've got 3 of them here. You're going to need a ruler, and you're going to need a hammer. You're also going to need a table or surface to put this on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the camera down so that you can see the side of the table that I'm sitting at, and I'm going to show you what we're going to do from a slightly different angle so you can, where's Deanna? You can see the table here. Let's just get this nice and secure. There's the table, perfect. And Deanna's left arm. Right. What we're going to do, we're going to take the elastic bands and we're going to put them around the head side of the hammer. We're going to get that so the heavy side is pointing down. We're going to get a ruler and we're going to put that in the top bit of the elastic bands. We're then going to put that on the table. It helps to do this with the elastic bands sort of close to the table at the moment. We're going to put the hammer on there and we can let go. And that is a hammer being supported by a ruler on a table. That is what that looks like. That is, again, basically what's happening is the hammer is pushing up here on the ruler and the hammer is pulling down there on the ruler with equal force, and then it's pulling it down on this table here, which is supporting it. And you can, in theory, move this out a bit more and it will still balance like that, which looks even more weird. So there are 2 quick things you can do with forces. Now what I'm going to teach you to do is something that is going to be a bit more time intensive, but believe me, it is so worth it at the end. If you want to, in fact, actually, if you want to see what we're going to be building, skip to the end of the video and you'll see it, and then you can decide if you want to build it. I think you will, so it's definitely worth sticking around for. What we're going to need for this, a few bits and pieces. You're going to need some pliers, so you're going to need some elements to help you with this. You're going to need some thick paper clips like this. You're going to need some tape. I've got duct tape here. Sellotape will work just fine. And you're also going to need some cardboard. I've got a little bit of a Weetabix box here. You can use whatever cardboard you've got lying around, or you can use metal or whatever you've got lying around if your parents want to help you with that. So first of all, what we're going to need to do is get rid of all of these flappy bits on the cardboard, which is why we've got some scissors. There we go, we've cut the flappy bits off. If you are going to use scissors, please do get parental supervision, make sure you don't hurt yourself. Now we're going to need two sort of similar shaped pieces. Now the triangles work best for this, but you can also do squares, rectangles, whatever you want to do, whatever shape you want, you can do. I would recommend triangles because it's the easiest shape to try, but it is entirely up to you. So we're going to fold it in half. I'm going to cut up from that bit so we get two similar-ish triangles. So we're going to cut that bit off there. We're going to cut this bit off here. And I'm going to cut this in half. So we have two triangles. Now we're going to need one of these triangles to have some holes in it. So do this very carefully, but you're going to, and again, adult supervision, you're going to poke some holes in one of the triangles. Now I'm just using a bit of a paper clip. There we go. Got a bit of a hole there. We're going to have another one just here. Now it doesn't matter really where these are, but you want them sort of close to the edges here like this. And that will become clear why in a moment. You want these sort of as close to the point as you can. Now I'm putting them a little bit further in just so there's a lot of cardboard around them so the holes don't break. But yeah, you want those sort of at the points of the triangle like this, and you'll see why a little bit later on. We're going to make these a bit bigger, actually, just so that we can do what we need to do with them later. I'll put that in there. That in there, and this in here. So we're going to get back to this in just a moment, and we have this here. Get this so you can see the table in front of me. There we go. We're going to need to make two similar-ish stands for these, and that's where this paper clip and the pliers come in. So first of all, what you want to do is either you yourself or get an adult to help you with these pliers. Bend out one of these really big paper clips so that you've got a load of wire that you can use and reshape. Now what you're going to do, straighten this out there so you can see we've got a load of wire here. What we're going to do is we're going to make a little square section at the top here. So I'm going to just bend this like that. In fact, we'll make it a triangular section. I think that will work nicely, like so, like that. And then we're going to bend this sort of tail upwards like that at sort of 90 degrees to that, so we have that sort of shape. And then this little bit here needs to be straight, or as straight as you can get it, and you're going to finish by bending it 90 degrees so that it looks like that, and we have this sort of weird triangular wine stand type thing. And we're going to put that here, and we want the other one to be, we'll work that out in a moment. So you might have guessed what we're making now with that. Right, so what we need is some tape, and we are going to tape down the triangular bit at the bottom to the cardboard base like that. Now if you've got sellotape you might need to use a bit more than that, but that is what we're doing. So we're going to tape that down to the base like so. So we now have a little stand sticking up from the base. Now this is going to be the top, so we are going to want this to be on the opposite side. So what we're going to do, we're going to start again by opening this up. And again on the other side, opening this up. And finally opening this up. Now it doesn't really matter, like if you want to measure where these are going, you can do. It doesn't really matter, it all sort of evens itself out in the end anyway. So it doesn't matter too much. Just gonna curve this in. So it is entirely up to you really. I am just going to be doing this very quickly, just to show you what to do. So we want that to be like that. So we want that to be on this side, so it goes up like that. And I'm just going to tape that down before we bend the last little bit, because I think you might be able to guess where this is going if you've seen one of these before. If you haven't, keep watching because you are in for an absolute treat. Right, so that is there. We're going to straighten this up a little tiny bit. There we go, and bend this top bit over like that. So we have our two pieces like this. Now what we're going to do, we're going to get some string. We want it to be about this long, however long that distance is there. I can't tell you how long that will be because it will be different depending on how long these are and how tall these are and everything like that. Mine is about 6 centimeters, so I'm just going to cut that little bit of string off. Maybe actually a little bit less than that, I think. So I want quite a high one this time, so I'm going to, there we go, I'm going to do that. So that's going to be my bit of string that's going to go there. That is about the right size now. That's about the size that I want it. So what I'm going to do, I am going to take a small bit of tape, like so. In fact, maybe I'm going to cut this a little bit off here, like that. Perfect. I'm going to put a little bit of tape on the bottom of this rope here, and this is going to go hanging down on the top piece like that. And then this bottom piece, you've probably guessed now, is going to, let's use a little tiny bit of tape. In fact, let's cut this a little bit shorter again. Perfect. This is going to go here. Sticking to me now. That's going to go there, and it's folding over on itself. There we go, and we have a nice bit of string now pulling down here. So this is our main support bit here. This is going to be basically like a floating table like this. I'm going to have some more strings supporting the top basically. So that is roughly how tall it's going to be. I think that looks pretty cool. And now what we need to do is stick some strings to here. And now we don't know how long these strings are going to need to be at the moment. So we're going to do really, really long strings. So we're going to take as long a string as we think we need. We're going to take loads of string here. We're going to take that much. And let's take a bit more. And we're going to need 3 pieces because we're going to need 1 bit of string stuck to each corner of the triangle. And again, it doesn't really matter where these are stuck to. It will all even itself out. It doesn't matter where the holes are too much. It will all even itself out in just a moment. So we're going to cut some tape off here. And we're going to stick this one here like that. And just fold this black tape underneath here. Whoop. It can go on the floor. We're going to do the same thing here. Already 15 minutes. Oh, right. Oops. Unstick. Oh, that one's not worked. Let's try again. Get off my fingers. There we go. This can go here, like that. Again, fold those under. And the final bit of string can go over here. And we're going to fold that around as well with the tape. Stay here. Now you are going to need a bit more tape. We're going to need 3 more bits of tape after this. I'm going to show you how to attach those. Perfect. This, oops. There we go, attaches here. So this is all taped together here now. Now what we're going to do, we're going to feed these, we're going to put these ropes, these strings, through each of these holes. So this one is going to go through this hole, this one through this hole, and this one through this hole. Now again, I said we don't know how much of this we're going to need. We're not going to need as much as we've got, so we're going to have to cut this down afterwards. But for now, we have got plenty, which is what we need and which is good. So just move that out of the way. You can see how badly it's like threading a needle. Ooh, come on. Go through, you know what, let's fold it in half and push it through that way. That will make it a bit easier to... There we go, look at that. Not teaching science for nothing, am I? Right, so, and that. This one needs to go in this one. Well, let's just poke that through. Or not, as the case may be. I don't want to make these holes too big, because if they're a little bit smaller, it will help a little bit later on. Perfect. And this last one, whoops, goes of course through the last hole. We're going to stick this in here. Like so. Perfect. So we now have, we've stuck itself to itself. Oh, it's gone round. Oh, it's getting all tangled. Right, let's see if we can untangle this mess. One moment. Right, so we've untangled it now. So we have our string here going up through this hole, our string here going up through that hole, and our string here going up through this hole. So we're going to let that sort of, we're going to hold it relatively flat, and we're going to pull one of these strings tight-ish, or as tight as we can get it. There we go. And we're going to use this as sort of like our initial anchor string. Now, if these holes are small enough, it will actually hold itself in place while you get some tape and tape down the string on top of the hole. Let me just get some tape, and again tape that flat there. Perfect. That can just fold around. So we now have one of these anchored. Now what we can do is we can use that anchor to work out where this one needs to be, which is here. And again, we can just, oh, look at that, it's working now already. We can take a bit of tape and we can put this over here, and that holds that one, which means all we have to do then is take this one, pull it tight, or as tight as we need it, let that go over there. Oops, that's fallen over. That doesn't matter, that will happen sometimes. We're going to take this, So that needs to be, where does that need to be? There? No. There, I think. Just going to take that. Perfect. And then, that's fallen. Let's try again. Right, one of these is too long, so we're just going to pull this one back. There we go. And what you can do is you can adjust it until it stays upright. Cut off the excess string. Here, here, and of course over here. And we now have what is called a floating table. So what's happening here, this is a table supported entirely by these strings. This string is holding the weight of this, so this string is pulling downwards, and that's holding this up here. And then these three strings here, if the table tries to tip this way, these two pull it back this way. If it tries to tip this way, these two pull it back. And if it tries to tip this way, these two pull it back. And they're all pulling down so that it keeps this level and straight. In fact, if I can borrow a pencil, this should even be able to hold, if I can get it right, a pencil up or other small objects. And depending on what material you make it out of, you can make these strong enough to sit on. If you make it out of wood and rope, you can actually make these strong enough to sit on. So that is my 3 cool things that you can do with forces. You can do the weird cool fork thing on the side of the glass. You can do the hammer on the ruler on the table with the elastic bands. And you can make this incredibly cool. It's called a floating table. This incredibly cool, impossible floating table. It is amazing. Please do it. You're going to absolutely love doing these. They're a lot of fun. Other than that, thank you very much. Please do go check out the other videos we have on YouTube. We've got so much to do. We've got magic. We've got me doing science and maths. We've got loads of entertainers doing loads of cool different bits and pieces. Have a fantastic day. Thank you very much for joining me. I've been Alex.